Talking about Brazilian crops, it's always difficult because, as mentioned before, Brazil is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. There's plenty of land, plenty of plantable lands, and people will expand crops of every kind.
Hmm.
So when we talk about coffee, it's tricky because it's one plus one. It's not always two. That's not so easy
Right.
to pin numbers and saying 100% accuracy. But let's start not so long ago and not going too forward, because I think that's also impossible to predict crops much ahead of our
Sure.
time. So last year, 2020, most of the people think it was 70 million bags. I have many reasons to think that it's rather 75 instead of 70 millions.
Mm.
And I haven't seen much of revisions being made for that. But I think it's worth to talk about it when we see things happening and when we have more certainty of what happened
Right.
or what will happen. So for next year, I had a good perspective. As you know, I'm always trying to circulate around my own area here in Varginha, South Minas. But we do have clients in Cerrado, Zona da Mata, Espírito Santo, Paraná, so Bahia. We trust those sources. Of course, every client has their own position. So
Right.
there's always be some kind of interest when talking numbers,
Sure.
and that's the market. We cannot fight it, we cannot judge it, but we try to filter and to come to numbers that making more sense from what we see and from what we hear from our own sources. So I had a good perspective for next year, and I still do. But I was really aiming around 65, 67 million bags for next
Right.
year. But that was before the extended period without rains. It lasted several months, and before frost. We cannot just close our eyes from what happened. There was a good impact, a decent impact to consider. So I think that it was jeopardized. The potential for next year, we lost it, a good portion of it, and also for 2023, if not 2024. A
Right.
lot of pruning, some frost, some areas were really severely hit, something that I didn't see in a long, long time. So, I mean, I'm not expecting that same number for next year. I can't really see anything above 60 million bags anymore.
Right.
Some people are still foreseeing a number above 60 million bags, and there are some extremes saying 50 million bags. I've talked about it before, but my own number, Thiago's number, it's not great beyond 60 million bags.
Yeah.
Flowering was visually incredible. We were surprised, to be honest. After all the dryness and the frost, the flowering was like cotton. It was very good to see. But then it's like frost. We need to give it some time to check what happens after. And the fixations of the flowerings, it wasn't that great in some properties. With proper care, good conditions, spending the money that needed to be spent to take care of the farm, we heard from 30 to 50% lost. Not everything. This is not the national average of loss.
Right.
But it happened in
some farms.
Yeah, in some farms. And I think that's more or less what I see for next year. And for 2023, I think it's too far to make assumptions.
Right.
Weather has been good for developments. We have been getting a lot of rains since October, and I think that will help some recovery for 2023, 2024, and beyond, right? But who can tell about the weather? We are talking about these numbers right now, But what if next year we have other events? We will have enough rains. We will have less severe winters in Brazil. You know, we can doubt anything, but we cannot write on a stone for weather. I think it's been changing, globally changing, and it's very difficult. I think people have protections to those risks to avoid unnecessary problems due to weather.
Yeah.